go ahead and call the City Council meeting of November 12, 2025 to order at 6:03 p.m. City Manager, any changes to the agenda? We're going to have the roll call, please.
Councilmember Director Lara.
Here.
Councilmember Director Lutz.
Here.
Councilmember Director Dr. Sanchez.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairman Camacho.
Here.
Mayor Chairman Garcia.
Here.
All present.
We're going to have the invocation by Dr. Monica Sanchez, followed by the flag salute with Jayla Lopez, a fifth grader at Los Coyotes Elementary, who is a resident here in the city of Pico Rivera. Dr. Sanchez, please.
Yes. Please stand. God, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the community of Pico Rivera. And continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, God, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name, God's name. Amen.
Amen. Jayla, please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the community. My name is Jayla Lopez, a fifth grade student at Los Coyotes Elementary School. It is my honor to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Please face the flag, place your right hand over your heart, and join me as we begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jayla. Jayla, if you want to come over here with your family, please. You did an outstanding job. We appreciate you. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us this evening. As a token of our appreciation, the City Council would like to present you with the certificate of appreciation. Thank you very much. Great job. Family. Okay, this next presentation goes to an individual who really needs no introduction. He's been around here in the community for a number of years, played various roles, very supportive. I just want to say we thank you for your commitment, your dedication, and your service to the city of Pico Rivera. At this time, I'm going to hand it off to Captain Hernandez, who will do the honors and presentation of Deputy Sergio Peralta. Captain.
Sergio, have your family come up with you too. Lisa, Daniel, Brianna, and all the rest of the family, whoever's here to celebrate and honor Deputy Peralta, please come up here. Thank you. We'll wait till they come up here and I'll say a few words. So I just want to say a few words about Deputy Peralta. Tonight, on behalf of the Pico Rivera Sheriff Station, the council, and the city of Pico Rivera, Rancho Unified School District staff, and the residents of Pico Rivera, we have the privilege of recognizing a true pillar of public safety in our community. I personally consider this man a great mentor. It is an honor to celebrate Deputy Sergio Peralta of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department for his 36 years of dedicated service. Deputy Peralta began his career with the Sheriff's Department in 1989 as a community services officer at the Lenox Station. A year later, in 1990, he was officially sworn in as Deputy Sheriff and assigned to Men's Central Jail in downtown Los Angeles, where he served with professionalism and integrity. In 1996, he transferred to the Pico Rivera Sheriff Station, where he has proudly served for nearly 3 decades, becoming one of the most familiar and trusted faces in our community. During his time at Pico Rivera Station, Deputy Peralta was assigned as a school resource deputy at Rancho High School from 2002 to 2016, and transitioned to senior field training officer, where he taught and mentored and assigned newly patrolled deputies until his retirement. Deputy Peralta has always reflected the core values of the Sheriff's Department: respect, integrity, fairness, and courage. Beyond his badge, Deputy Peralta is known for his compassion, his steady presence, and genuine care for the people he serves. He has earned the respect not only of his colleagues, but of countless residents who have witnessed his dedication firsthand. Deputy Peralta, on behalf of all of us, we thank you for your 36 years of service and unwavering commitment to public safety, and your 30 years almost to Pico Rivera. We wish you all the best in your well-deserved retirement. May be filled with happiness, good health, and the same spirit of service that has defined your remarkable career. On a personal note, Sergio, and I want to look at you when I say this, Godfather. So I've always called him the Godfather because I didn't know how long this dude was at the station. I got there, and Sergio had already been there about 9 or 10 years when I first got to the station. But it was truly an honor to work alongside someone who once mentored me when I first arrived at the station. Your guidance and support has had a lasting impact on me. I genuinely believe that without great mentors like you, Sergio, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you for being a great mentor to me and to all the deputies at the station. Congratulations, and thank you for all you have done for our community. I know if I didn't write that down, I wanted to make sure I got everything across. But I'd like to speak from the heart. When I was out there as a young deputy, Sergio was always willing to help. I always saw him just the way he acted with the community. Me and Phil were just talking in the room next door earlier in a meeting, and we're like, Sergio, he was just always real low key, but always was the most knowledgeable person in the room. Always handled things with such professionalism. When I came back as a lieutenant, Sergio was always, never called me lieutenant, always say, hey, mijo, we got this. And he would go out and he would handle it, and I know that Sergio, if he was handling something that I needed him to handle because I had to give an answer to somebody, it was always with the utmost professionalism, the most dedication to the city, and it was an honor to work alongside him the last 20 years in and out of my career. Thank you, Sergio, and I'm sure every deputy in here and a lot more that couldn't make it are truly honored to have worked alongside of you. Thank you for sharing him with us, Lisa. I met Lisa. Lisa works at Men's Central Jail. She's a sergeant on our department. As soon as I found out that she was married to Sergio, I was like, what a great dude, right? So I had a lot of stories. So we shared a lot of stories early morning and having coffee together when I would work overtime at the jail. But thank you to your son and your daughter. We appreciate you guys sharing Sergio with us. And, you have an awesome father. That's all I can say. I'd like to bring Dora up from Delgado and the Rancho Unified School District people.
But before you do that, though, Captain, why don't we present this on behalf of the city of Pico Rivera, and we'll bring up the intro.
I have something written also because if not, I'll cry. Have had also a lot of years with Sergio. It is my honor this evening to be here to recognize Deputy Sergio Peralta, who has been a pillar of strength, kindness, and dedication in the El Rancho Unified School District. Deputy Peralta served as our school resource deputy for 14 years. During this time, Deputy Peralta was a member of our district as a family person, a mentor, a protector, a friend, and often a source of calm, as the captain mentioned, and reassurance during difficult times for both students and our families. Deputy Peralta's impact goes beyond his position. He has built relationships with our students, earning their respect and trust through his sincerity and genuine care. He supported our staff with grace and consistency, always showing up with a smile or a few words of wisdom. And we won't say about, or talk about the words that he gave us sometimes. His commitment to this community has been wholeheartedly and deeply felt by every one of us. As we celebrate his well-deserved retirement, we're filled with joy as he begins this new chapter of life and gratitude for the many years he devoted to the El Rancho family. Deputy Peralta, your legacy will live in the countless lives that you've touched and the positive spirit you leave behind. You will always, always, always be part of our El Rancho story. And we wish you endless blessings, good health, and happiness as you continue your journey. We love you.
Deputy Peralta, it is my honor as president of the El Rancho Unified School District to present you this plaque. It's my honor. And the plaque reads, the El Rancho Unified School District proudly recognizes Deputy Peralta for his dedication, service to students, staff, and community. Your steadfast presence, protection, and mentorship has positively impacted generations of students now and for years to come. Your legacy of commitment and care will always be remembered. Deputy Peralta, on behalf of the Board of Education and the entire El Rancho Unified School District, we thank you for your outstanding service and wish you all the best in your retirement. And although I'm being told that you did not go to El Rancho, your 15 years, I think we can agree. We're gonna make you an honorary member. So like we say here in Pico Rivera, once a Don, always a Don, right? So congratulations on your retirement.
We're going to have Councilman Laura say a few words too. Or you want to do it after? Okay, we'll do it afterwards. Lisa, come up here. You're deputy too. Sergeant.
Before we go on to the next presentation, my colleagues want to share anything. Councilmember Lara?
I just want to acknowledge it's an honor to be part of a community that honors people like this, that values people like this, their sacrifice, their dedication. I had the unique privilege of riding shotgun with Officer Peralta on a few occasions on doing ride-alongs because I wanted to see the city through his eyes. And what I learned is I learned of a man who gave of himself to this community wholeheartedly. He just wasn't doing a job. He saw that our youth and the people of our community were people to be valued. And there were a few stops where we came across some young men, and you had recognized them from your work at El Rancho Unified at the high school. And they recognized you. But it was that continuity of kindness and that continuity of care that you showed them. You just were not a police officer, but you were actually a mentor to them. And, you know, I want to thank you for everything you've done for us. And please, when you retire and when you're sitting in your rocking chair, look back at the city of Pico Rivera and know that you left it a better place. So thank you for all your years.
Dr. Sanchez?
Thank you. I want to say a few words too. You can't leave yet. Don't leave yet. You're not dismissed yet. I wanted to share my experience as well. During my mayorship in 2022, I was assigned to Deputy Peralta for a ride-along as well. And I think I didn't know at the time, but I guess this is a great tradition that they have of sending the captain, and the captain will send Deputy Peralta, all of the mayors, to go for a ride-along. And in my experience, I didn't know your history and how long you had been here. He shared the information with me. I learned that I was in high school at the time when he started in Pico Rivera. But I wanted to sincerely say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know that you probably spent more hours in Pico Rivera with our own kids than with your own and your own family and your own home. And I know the hours that it takes. And not everybody is willing to sign up for a job where you risk your life, basically, for somebody else. And so I want to thank you for that. And that's a selfless, unconditional job that you signed up for. And all of our deputies as well, and captain. So from the bottom of our heart, from Pico Rivera, I know that in this era, some people became anti-cop, and it became more of a risk for you to even just be walking in the street in your uniform. I want to say that I'm sorry for that, for anyone that believes that. And I know that we in Pico Rivera very much value you and all of your service and all the years that you gave us. So thank you so much. And enjoy your life at the beach.
Okay, well, moving along here, we're going to recognize an individual by the name of Sebastian Arias. In early 2025, we started to recognize those who've been volunteering in the city for decades at some time and really made some significant contributions here in the city. So we'll recognize an individual for his outstanding volunteerism who has made a meaningful and lasting difference in our community. The recipient is Sebastian Arias, a youth ambassador. An ambassador is someone between the ages of 11 and 18 whose efforts have greatly impacted the community this past year. Throughout his time at El Rancho High School, Sebastian was involved in the community service club known as the Leo's Club. Heck, I was a Leo for 18 years. He helped us establish that club. So you were a Leo, okay. All right. outside of the school, Sebastian can be found at Smith Park, coaching young baseball players, assisting maintaining the fields, or taking orders in the snack bar. He also lends a hand at the local church, St. Hilary's, helping with the altar and collecting monetary donations for the church. Sebastian is recognized for his commitment to volunteering in the aforementioned community organizations and making a lasting difference in our community. Sebastian, thank you for your volunteerism and all your efforts. On behalf of the city of Pico Rivera, we're going to give you this award of recognition as a youth ambassador to Pico Rivera. Thank you very much. Chief, please, Councilman.
We were laughing because he's my neighbor. And then when I moved in, he was a little boy, and then I looked, well deserved. Thank you so much. Thank you, well deserved.
All righty. Moving along here. The next individual we're going to recognize this evening is a man whose service and dedication and heart have left a lasting mark on generations of Pico Rivera families. It is my great honor to recognize Mr. Paul Camacho as the 2025 Mayor's Volunteer of the Year. Paul has proudly called Pico Rivera's home since 1963, when his family moved here when he was just 10 years old. A proud United States Marine Corps veteran, Paul returned from service with a deep sense of duty and immediately began giving back to the community. In 1976, a friend's invitation to coach youth football turned into a lifetime of mentorship through the Pico Rivera Dons Football for Youth program. Over nearly 5 decades, Paul has guided, coached, and inspired hundreds of young athletes, earning 16 championships, 37 first-place finishes. Beyond football, he has dedicated 42 years as a youth baseball umpire, ensuring fairness and sportsmanship on the field. What Paul values most isn't the wins. It's seeing his former players return as adults, now coaching their own children, carrying forward the same lessons of teamwork and respect. A devoted husband and father, Paul shared 51 wonderful years of marriage with his late wife, Diane Camacho, whose memory continues to inspire his commitment to service and family. Paul, your decades of volunteerism, leadership, mentorship have made an incredible difference in our community. On behalf, before I do that, I just want to share a personal note. I met Paul, kid going through Rivera Park. See Paul right there. Some of you may or may may not know the Yum Yum tree at Rivera Park on the south end on Maxine and Cord Streets. Paul was there with Avina, with Apodaca, with Tovar, and sometimes Coach Reese as well. I would ride my bike right through there, and he was coaching football right there. But I really met Paul on the basketball court. We were young. Paul and the guys, they would bang us. I mean, they would hit us. I mean, we were playing against older, stronger men. But Paul, those were life lessons he taught us at an early age. Because when we played folks our age, they were nothing. We were able to move right through them because we were teaching us back then. But it was over at RBA through the baseball championships. And you talk about fairness and partiality. When you made a championship game, you requested Paul Camacho and JD. You guys worked very well together as a tandem. And if somebody missed a call, timeout, and you guys would overturn the call. And that's what I admired the most when you guys were coaching back in the days. But I've never seen an umpire throw out a coach for eating a hot dog. You know what I'm talking about. So with that, on that note, Paul, congratulations on the Mayor's Award. We're proud of you. I mean, what can I say? 5 decades. So we have a city proclamation signed by all my colleagues right here. We're very excited for you. We have a plaque, so if you can come up and receive these honors, please. That's right. There's a lot of whereas right here. Paul's family makes it. I'll open it up to my colleagues to share some remarks. Dr. Sanchez?
Thank you. Well, Paul Camacho, when I met him, he was her, I knew him as the people's mayor. Uh, Coach Camacho. My son too played on the Dons, and I knew that his heart's in the right place because he doesn't even have children that are usually the dads are the ones that are coaching. And I said, which kid is yours out here? He was like, long time ago. So his kids, he doesn't even have kids or grandkids that are playing on the Dons anymore, but he continues to go out there, coach and mentor the boys. And what I'm very proud about that he speaks about often is his sobriety and staying clear-minded, and he's a big advocate for that and coaching the youth about not using alcohol and drugs and how that helps them to achieve not only academically. I know that Don's gives the students patches when they get a certain GPA. They give them scholar athlete patches. They're always promoting health and working out and exercising and eating. The families provide dinners afterward. And so I think he is one of those legacies, he created that at the Dawn. So I want to say, Paul, thank you for that, your leadership, your legacy. You're still here and you're still going. And how many championships have you won?
Going for number
17, God willing. Coming soon.
My team is in the finals.
It's coming soon. So we're very proud of you, and I think this is well deserved by you, and we're proud to have you. Thank you so much for all you give to Pico Rivera.
So Paul's my neighbor. We don't live too far from each other, but he's also my tío, if you didn't know. All right, honorary tío, that is. But there's so much to say about this gentleman, but one word that has come up over and over again is mentorship. And that in itself, you got so many individuals, so many citizens out there doing good in our community because of you. because you mentor them and you mentor them well. So thank you for being part of our community. And let's get that next championship next week.
And I don't want to say I don't blame whoever got kicked out for eating the hot dog, because Rivera Park has the best chili cheese fries, hamburgers. If you're hungry, go to Rivera Park Snack Bar.
Paul, I've seen your coaching. I've seen the way you mentor the children. But there's another aspect to you that I saw that I really admired, and that's your care and your love for your wife. You were someone who was an advocate for her, getting rides, making sure she had the necessary medication, making sure that she got her vaccinations on time. You know, not only were you there for us, for the community, but you were also there for your family. And that's also a great role model that you've displayed for us. I want to thank you for your years of service to our youth. And you got many more years coming up, right? We see you have a championship to win in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
In 2023, all the councilmen showed up to the championship game. Mr. Lutz was busy doing something. He didn't make it, but he gave me wishes. And I'm trying to repeat the same deja vu that we did in 23. All the council show up. Matter of fact, Johnny has pictures of me. He's passing them out.
Oh, we can't forget that. Hey, it's not official until you have this in your hand. And you know it's official when you see his sidekick over there, Chrissy boy over there.
Well, I just want to celebrate 50 years of mentoring, as my colleagues have said, and you're not done yet. And Paul Camacho, as my colleagues mentioned earlier, he's the people's mayor with no term limits. And there's been many times that I'll be driving down the road and I see him in the rearview mirror. And I call him on the cell phone and I said, Paul, is that you? It sure is. And then always riding sidekick is Chris Zelaya. And I ask, what are you guys up to? And they tell me, we're up to no good. and I said, I'd follow you, but I got to go do some work with the city. But I just have to say, he coaches in such a way where the kids learn life lessons. And I've seen him right across the street, Rivera Park, doing all that coaching for year on end, year on end. And I really do appreciate you instilling all those good values in all those generations of kids. And as I mentioned, you are a pillar here in our community. And you're an example of a true American and a veteran. And wouldn't you say that he looks fantastic in that veteran's hat that we gave him yesterday? So, Mr. Camacho, thank you for your service to our community and to our country.
Want to get a photo with your family?
Yeah. Generous. Okay. Man, going through all those accolades made me feel old. I'm trying to feel young. I'm trying to be like my mentor over there, John Seiler. He's a $1 million man, you know. But I've evolved. I've changed. You know, when I was a young guy, I was full of piss and vinegar. I was a Marine. I was a biker. I was a lot of things. And the thing that was constant in my life were the children of Pico Rivera, the sports, the baseball, the football, watching all these guys grow up. You know, some of them I played basketball with. Now one guy, he's the president of RBA. You know, and so we have life lessons forever. Never treat anybody bad because karma will come and get you. My secret to my success is hiring good coaches, and then I give the kids a special love and God. God comes first, love comes second, and then, education, because you're one injury away from you're done for the rest of your life. I've had the privileges of coaching studs, the Carmonas. They were the two best players I ever coached. I mean, I have so many memories going. A matter of fact, this team that I'm coaching right now, we're going for their second championship, and they're also going to Las Vegas to represent the city of Pico Rivera in a tournament. Okay? And I don't know about you, but when I go to Vegas, I win. I win. My kids win. I tell them, hey, last year I went, I got there Friday, and the kids go, we lost, coach. I go, yeah, I know you lost. I wasn't there. As soon as I got there, we won. End of story. So I'm excited. I'm proud of my children, who grew up. My comadre's here, my goddaughter's here, personal friends of mine. I don't know what to say other than, thank you, and God bless you. Okay, and one last thing, real quick, real fast. When I was 21 years old and I was riding a bike, my friend said, go coach Pico Dons. I went, all right. So I go to the board, they looked at me and they went, no way. You got long hair, you got an earring, you look crazy. We're not giving you a team. Well, Mr. Monteverde convinced the board to give me the team, and the rest is history. I've been there ever since. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Mr. Monteverde. 92 years old.
Sending good vibes, brother. Sending good vibes. Good vibes. That's right, he does.
Go Dons, go Dons.
All righty, this next individual, well, you talk about 5 decades. This individual I've known for quite a while, growing up right there on the south end at Rivera Park. John has called Pico Rivera home for 65 years, attending local schools, graduating from Rancho High School. His lifelong pride is that the city shines through everything he does. A passionate supporter of youth sports, John has volunteered with Rivera Baseball Association for 50 years, helping coach and mentor countless young athletes. He also spent 9 years coaching Special Olympics of basketball, including coaching his son, demonstrating his deep compassion and commitment to inclusion. Beyond sports, John served at the VFW 7734 Auxiliary and spends weekends maintaining the fields at Rivera Park, ensuring our families have clean and safe spaces to enjoy. John, your decades of service, mentorship, and generosity has left a lasting impression in our community. John has taught thousands of children to play baseball and to love the sport. He has been the president of RBA 5 times and 5 years in a row at one point. He dedicated his life and time to the kids in Pico Rivera. On a personal note, John, I've witnessed your commitment. I've seen your leadership. I've seen your coaching. I've seen you the first to arrive, the last to leave, making sure that that major field is immaculate. just 2 weeks ago at the park, seeing you emptying the canisters to make sure all the trash was picked up from the visiting team, making sure that you left that park spotless, watering, raking, dragging the fields to make sure. And John, John Sider, he's got a big heart. We served on the men's auxiliary together. He was our treasurer, going to the Long Beach VA, playing bingo with our veterans, doing barbecues with our veterans over at the Long Beach VA, doing Christmas gifts at the Long Beach VA. John has a heart of commitment for this community. He loves the city of Pico Rivera. And I witnessed this firsthand. So John, congratulations on the 2025 Mayor's Volunteer of the Year Award. Please come up and receive your honors. As John makes his way, John, we have a proclamation with a lot of whereases listed right here, signed by all our colleagues here in the city of Pico Rivera. And we also have a nice award of recognition. John Steiner. And I want to recognize President Mike Lay and Vice President Carlos in attendance out there. Is that you? Is that Brother Ed right there? All right, Ed Cardial, another one who's put some time in at the park.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for this award. I played for RBA when I was a young boy. And how funny, one day I was sitting on my porch and I was watching, I think I was nine. And I had a stepfather whom I had a good experience with. His name was Warren. And it was sitting on the porch, and my friends down the street were in their baseball uniforms from RBA, and they were getting ready to go to a game, and I was sitting there watching, and then my stepfather told me, John, do you want to play ball? And I said, well, yeah, and I was really surprised. He asked me, and right away he took me down and got me signed up for baseball with RBA. And not only that, he got me signed up to play football, flag football, at Rivera School, and I played with Mickey Klutz. I'm sure a lot of you guys know Mickey. But anyway, so I was very lucky to get involved with the youth sport in the area. Anyways, it's been a great ride. I've been a board member with RBA for about 45 years, something like that. And I told them a long time ago, if I were you, I'd throw John out right now. But they don't listen to me. but anyways, it's been a great ride. Right now I'm a board member. Mike and Carlos are Mike Clay and Carlos. And, I've never had friends that are so close like they are, When we're sitting there talking about stuff, everybody's wondering what we're conjuring up. They call us the Three Stooges, so... but RBA's brought a lot to me. I've had great coaches like John. Look, he's a school board guy, and I think I got about 4 or 5 guys that are coaching at the park, and I'm very proud of them, and I'm just lucky to get into what I do. And who would think that working would be like fun? I consider it fun. And, I'd like to thank the Parks and Recreation people, the guys at the park, man, they support me. And, I've heard him say, whatever John needs, get it for him, but anyways, it's an honor to do these things. And then Johnny, I met Johnny many years ago. He's a great friend, and he always calls me his older brother stuff. And, I take that with honor. I do. Anyways, this is my son, John.
He's a good kid. He's so neat, he'll piss you off. But anyways, but I love my boy here anyways. Oh, and by the way, Paul Camacho, you know, I've known him for many years. He was with Pico Boys, and I'm with RBA, and we're crosstown rivals. You know, but you know, I just remind all my ball players that the other leagues are not our enemies; they're our competitors. You know, and I remind them of their responsibilities and stuff. But anyways, look, it's been a great ride, and then, you know, I've been here in Pico Rivera many years, and I think our the city just gets better and better and better. We got a great sheriff station there. You know, it's an honor to be a citizen of this town here. So I love it very much. I want to thank you guys for all this and your support. I really appreciate it, and I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, John Seiler. Here you go, John. I do at this time want to recognize Anna Asencia from our sister city commission. Anna, thank you for joining us this evening and everything you do here in the city of Pico Rivera. We're going to go ahead and move into the public hearing. Number one, we have 1 and 2, and we'll start with number 1, which is a repeal and replace for Title 18 zoning. We'll go ahead and open it up. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, we do have a presentation. I'll turn it over to Alvy Bentoncourt.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. Honorable Mayor and Council, I'm very happy to present the presentation for the comprehensive update of the zoning ordinance. With us today from DUDEC is Project Managers Janet Rodriguez and Catherine Tang Sains. Also from the city, the Project Manager Stephanie Franco, and I'll hand it over to the team.
Good evening, council members. My name is Janet Rodriguez. I am the planner and project manager with DUDEC. We're the prime consultant helping the city with this effort. As Alvy mentioned, I'm joined today with my colleague Kathy Tang Saez to present the public hearing for the comprehensive code update, as well as other related amendments to other titles in the municipal code and the general plan for consistency. But before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank city staff for their efforts throughout this project. This has been a very positive and collaborative effort, and they have been very involved and proactive in this process. So with that, let's get started. Tonight's public hearing is a request to repeal and replace Title 18, zoning of the Pico Rivera Municipal Code, code amendment to update several titles of the municipal code, zone reclassification number 330 to amend certain zone classifications, and general plan amendment number 63 to amend chapter 3, land use element, and appendix A, zoning compatibility matrix of the general plan. So first of all, let's get started with an overview of the project. In the fall of 2022, the comprehensive zoning code update was initiated in response to several key objectives to implement policies adopted in the recent 2014 general plan update, to comply with new state mandates such as Senate Bill 9, accessory dwelling unit laws, and housing element requirements such as objective design standards, and also to remove procedural and regulatory barriers to the creation of housing and mixed-use development. So as you can see on the screen, the project goals are to implement the goals and policies of the general plan, be consistent with state and federal law, be user-friendly and simple to understand, allow for a transparent, predictable, and consistent development process, promote well-designed buildings and places, be enduring and have longevity in use, and eliminate ambiguity in intentions by utilizing objective standards. So before we get into the specifics of the project, let's revisit what a zoning code is and why it is important for the city to update it. The zoning code is one of the many sections of the city's municipal code. It exists as Title 18 alongside other important parts of the code, like the building code, the health and safety code, and so on. It's the primary tool that cities have to implement the vision and policies set forth by the city's general plan. And so then the zoning code translates those goals and policies into regulations, specifically for private property, land, and buildings. Based on the general plan, it dictates what uses are allowed where, what the general characters of the building should be, and establishes procedures for doing so. The zoning code is predominantly used by property owners, developers, builders, and designers to understand what can be built and how, and also by city staff in reviewing projects. While the zoning code influences the built environment, it doesn't or shouldn't do a few things. It doesn't mandate certain architectural styles. It does not regulate the free market. It can create opportunities in the market, but it can't overreach to mandate certain free enterprise choices on property. For example, while the zoning code can allow certain uses on properties, it cannot mandate that a property definitely be one type of use. And it can't establish land use policy, meaning it can't determine where uses go. Those decisions are determined in the general plan. But at the end of the day, the zoning code is an important tool that both the city and the community has and uses to be able to influence the built environment. So to begin our work, we reviewed the entirety of the zoning code to comprehensively understand how all the regulations exist today. The zoning code diagnostic focused on 7 key areas, including implementation of the general plan, the zoning code organization, the zones, land use regulations, property development regulations, administration and procedures, and compliance with state and federal law. We reviewed the 45 chapters within Title 18 and found that the zoning code was last comprehensively updated in 1993 and has since received numerous amendments, which ultimately has resulted in internal inconsistencies in the use of terminology and implementation of the zoning code, as well as challenges with the usability of the code as it relates to the organization of the code and approach to regulating land use and development, as there are critical regulations buried within a note system. For example, today, if you were to view the uses permitted within the commercial zones, and we have a screen grab up here, you would find a table with many notes and would have to scroll to the bottom of the table to find what each note regulates. As you can imagine, this is both cumbersome for city staff and property owners and business owners who need to determine what they can build and where it is allowed. So the recommendations based off our diagnostic included to restructure a 5-division organizational system, discontinue the special or specific use conditions and chart note system, consolidate all provisions for a specific topic into one location of the code, utilize consistent terminology throughout, and better use lists, tables, and graphics where applicable. And also to utilize a user-friendly web interface, which the city has already implemented since. The restructuring of the proposed zoning code would take the laundry list of chapters and organize them into 5 general divisions, which would help eliminate repetition and inconsistencies across chapters, and also guide and simplify the location of information for developers or persons utilizing the code. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have an example of the current chapters, which all have many regulations and sections within them. So as you can imagine, pulling apart the regulations and restructuring them, and then drafting new regulations was quite a large undertaking. So how did we get there? As you may recall, to get a new and improved zoning code, our team's strategy was to address the code update through 4 rounds of work, which included an analysis of the overall zoning code and proposed outline, which we just reviewed, zones and uses, which included a review of the permitted land uses by zone and specific standards for certain uses, development, design, and citywide standards, and lastly, the administrative provisions. Each round of work culminated in a series of study sessions, first with city staff, then with our working group, which included residents, business owners, and developers, as well as architects, and then with the Planning Commission. At each meeting, we presented our progress of work to each of these groups for review, feedback, and input, and then we revised and improved before moving on to the next round of work. The work across each of these rounds was compiled at the end of the day into one complete new draft of the zoning code, which we presented to you back in June of 2024. There haven't been any significant revisions since we last presented on this material. Since our last meeting, we have been revising and refining the work based off city, stakeholder, planning commission, and city council feedback, as well as feedback from the Economic Ad Hoc Committee. So with that, I'll provide a refresher on the new outline and the contents it covers. First, we'll start with Division 1 and 2. Divisions 1 and 2 are like the introduction to the zoning code, the preface and overview. Division 1 is where the general provisions live. This establishes Title 18 as part of the Pico Rivera Municipal Code and the purpose of the code, which encompasses the goals of the general plan. Moving on to Division 2. This is where the administrative provisions are located. This division establishes administrative responsibilities of the decision-making bodies and officials, procedures for public noticing and hearings, appeals, and so on, permits and approvals, including requirements for conditional use permits, variances, and temporary uses, regulations and process for amendments to the general plan, zoning map, and text. And then also includes the provisions for non-conforming uses, and lastly, development agreements. Division 3 is the meat of the zoning code. Division 3 is where most people will go first when coming to the zoning code. Knowing that their property is zoned residential or commercial or industrial, they will come here first to see what's allowed in each of those zones. This division holds all the regulations specific to a zone. As you can see here, each zone has a purpose and applicability. Then use regulations where you can see what uses are allowed, conditionally allowed, or prohibited in your zone. We have significantly streamlined this portion of the code to allow for more flexibility in uses, future-proofing your code in a way that won't preclude new, creative uses that may come up in the future, while at the same time addressing the specific needs of special uses today. So let's walk through an example of residential zones and highlight some of the regulations. As you can see on the screen, the residential zones allowed uses table is now streamlined, and instead of having several notes, it outright shows what type of housing is allowed where and what permit is needed. It has also been updated to comply with housing legislation. Because Division 3 contains all the regulations specific to a zone, it will also contain development and design standards. So here we have a screenshot of the development standards for residential zones. You'll see it is organized into a table and addresses those items fundamental to the development of a property. So lot, setback, height, density, open space, and so on. Complementary to the development standards are the design standards, which covers a range of design elements or topics. I won't go through all of these, but we'll call out just a few. So we have incorporated standards for the design of building entries to ensure that they face the street, engage the street, and be distinct. We have standards for the design of facades to prevent blank facades, encourage variation in fenestration and modulation. And then we have two more examples of graphics we included to support the design standards for facades. As you can see, the other topics that are also covered for the design standards for residential buildings include ground floor, such as having requirements for transparency, requirements for common open space in multifamily residential. So as I mentioned, Division 3 is meant to hold all of the zone-specific standards. After you've referred to that division, you will then need to refer to Division 4 for supplemental standards. These are the standards that are not zone-specific, but applicable more so citywide. Here, you'll be able to find standards for general site design, parking, signs, performance standards, and special uses. So under the general site design standards, it provides requirements for access and circulation. For example, regardless of your use, there should always be connections between the buildings, entries, parking, amenities, and the street. For fences, walls, and hedges, for example, there are regulations for maximum height within and beyond the front setback, as well as requirements for the type of materials and colors. Landscaping relative to the use of trees and plants and how much is required and what types are allowed. And then there are also requirements for screening certain equipment and development, like mechanical equipment on the roof to again elevate the quality of design despite the functionality of the use. And then here we have another example of screening specific to properties that abut residential, which requires privacy through the use of walls or landscape edges. And then the same goes for trash and recycling areas where screening is required. So moving on to chapter 1819, this covers off-street parking and loading standards, which include general provisions, parking requirements such as the number of parking spaces, and parking design, loading, and transportation demand management. We've also updated the parking and loading standards, which for the most part have remained intact, with the exception of strategic updates to some of the standards, like the minimum parking requirements, which is now up to date with best practices and a recent parking study the city had conducted. And we've also updated existing figures that were difficult to read. Lastly, in this division, there's a whole new section on special uses where we address those uses that require special attention above and beyond the normal, like adult uses, outdoor dining, and shopping centers, for example. And this is to be able to create safeguards for the public's well-being and minimize conflicts between incompatible uses. So as a refresher, a special use regulation apply additional standards to specific uses beyond and in addition to the standards of the base zone. Special use regulations can create safeguards for the well-being of the community and minimize conflicts, can minimize public nuisances, and can provide guidance and flexibility for the development community, and can create scenarios in which specific uses can be permitted in a broader range of zones that would otherwise be permitted. So some examples of special use regulations include hours of operation and designed to minimize pedestrian conflicts. Division 5, This division establishes the definitions and rules of measurement. For example, when there are distancing requirements between two land uses, this section provides regulations for how the distance is measured. And it also includes definitions which have been updated for consistency with state law and to support streamlining of land uses in Division 3 and new terminology from the design and development standards. The proposed zoning code is a big milestone for the city. Ultimately, the final products we bring before you today is a zoning code that is organized, modernized, gleans from best practices used by other cities. The new zoning code will help shape new development in the city. Like I mentioned, the project gleans from best practices, but we also went out to the community to hear how the new zoning code could help shape the type of development they want to see, as well as how they interact with the zoning code today. There were 3 major ways in which we have solicited feedback. The first is through the broader outreach events, where we had about 87 participants. This is a conservative estimate since it only considers people who registered for the project's mailing list or completed a survey. The first event focused on feedback related to design priorities, including the look and feel of buildings in the city and priorities for future development. The second event was focused on the usability of the code and existing procedures for development. And a third open house was held for the release of the public draft. The public draft was available for review and input from December 16th, 2024 through February 18th, 2025. The first 2 outreach events were also paired with a survey, which we received a combined number of 154 participants. And then lastly, we held 14 meetings through the study session rounds. The study sessions with Planning Commission were open to the public. And then we also had a meeting with the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee, as well as meetings with city staff and a study session with you. The feedback we received from these events, meetings, and surveys was summarized in a memo and reviewed by the project team to ensure relevant community feedback was reflected in the final draft. Additionally, through the life of the project, the webpage has received over 400 visits. We have publicized outreach events and major milestones through the Pico Rivera profile newsletter, which reaches a citywide audience, and also through email blasts to interested parties and over 900 businesses in the city. We also made projects resources available at City Hall. To complement the zoning code, we have also developed a design and development user guide, which is a visual companion guide. The guide provides general information to help project applicants and the city better navigate and understand the zoning code, and also serves as a visual companion with diagrams, photos, and annotations to illustrate how real-world built projects may or may not comply with select zoning requirements. The guide provides a step-by-step guide to help applicants identify how to find the zone for their property, determined allowed uses, zone-specific standards, citywide standards, as well as permits and entitlement guide, including an overview on the project's review process. For the visual examples of select zoning regulations, the topics included were identified by city staff as areas where applicants typically need the most support. Each topic includes examples of how to meet or not meet the standard for residential, commercial, and industrial projects. So on the screen, we have a screenshot of the regulations for residential and commercial building entries, and photos that show how you can meet the standard, and an example of development that doesn't meet the standard. And again, here's another example of a visual guide to meeting the requirements for facade colors for residential and development and commercial development. And we've also included visual examples of standards that apply to all development, including regulations for fences, walls, and hedges. And then we have one more example of screening standards that apply to all development related to mechanical, plumbing, and electrical equipment. Thank you for your time. With that, I will turn it over to Stephanie for a brief overview on the code amendments.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As part of this update, we also made sure that other sections of the municipal code that reference the zoning code are consistent with the proposed changes. Specifically, we updated references in titles 5, 8, 9, 12, 15, and 17 to align with the new chapters and sections. In addition, we have zone reclassification number 330, which updates the names of 4 zones and removes one zone name that is no longer in use. These updates are intended to clarify the differences in density between zones and establish more consistent naming conventions. General Plan Amendment number 63 is proposed to update Appendix A, the General Plan/Zoning Compatibility Matrix, to reflect the new zone names, and it will also update Table 3-2, General Plan Land Use categories to include a 0.5 floor area ratio standard for rural residential and low-density residential areas. For environmental review, an addendum to the 2014 General Plan Environmental Impact Report was prepared. The Comprehensive Zoning Code Update project does not introduce any new significant environmental impacts, nor does it increase the severity of any impacts previously identified in the 2014 EIR. This determination is consistent with sections 15164 of the CEQA guidelines. The recommendations before you this evening are as follows. 1, to introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance repealing and replacing Title 18 zoning of the Pico Rivera Municipal Code and adoption of an addendum to the 2014 General Plan EIR, finding that it's in accordance with Section 15164 of the California Environmental Quality Act, 2, approve a resolution to repeal and replace Title 18 zoning of the Pico Rivera Municipal Code and adopt an addendum to the 2014 General Plan EIR. 3, introduce and waive a first reading of an ordinance adopting code amendments to Titles 5, 8, 9, 12, 15, and 17. And then 4, introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance adopting zone reclassification number 330, amending the zone classification names of 4 zones and deleting 1 zone classification. 5, approve a resolution approving zone reclassification number 330. And lastly, approve a resolution for General Plan Amendment number 63, amending Chapter 3 Land Use element and Appendix A General Plan/Zoning Compatibility Matrix. I'll turn it back to Director Betancourt for some additional remarks.
Thank you, Stephanie. Mayor and Council, I'd like to highlight to you that a couple of letters of comment letters were submitted, one from Rutan and Tucker LLP, and the other from NAOP Commercial Real Estate Development Association. And they both cover the same subject matter. With respect to the letter from Rutan, the staff has incorporated their comments into the update, so we are prepared to adopt as amended, and the amendments reflect the comment letter. There are 2 items that are not applicable. Staff has noted those, but they will apply to the forthcoming Washington Boulevard TOD specific plan. Although I can't thank DUDEC enough for their timely delivery of a successful zoning ordinance update, I would also like to highlight and acknowledge the entire planning staff for their input over the last 3 years, and in particular, the professionalism demonstrated by Staff Project Manager Planner Stephanie Franco. Updating a zoning ordinance is no small undertaking, but this team made it look easy. I appreciate and thank everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvi. Thank you for clarifying. So I did have 2 written comments, but you've already got that for the record. We're good there. I do have 2 public comments. Do I take those up right now? The oral comments? Okay. So why don't we go in with Travis, and then we'll have Juan Garza after that.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, fellow council members. My name is Travis Van Lyten. I'm with the firm Rutan and Tucker, one of the comment letters that is before you right now. I'm here on behalf of Prologis and Majestic, two entities that own and operate a substantial amount of property within the Bartolo specific plan, specifically. As I believe Mr. Betancourt just referenced, through kind of a long process, but when we thank staff for bearing with us, we've kind of come to a general agreement on some very specific terms that are reflected before you, as well as a couple of other revisions that were made to the Planning Commission process. My clients are very appreciative of those efforts so far. So with those revisions that were noted in the record right now as being incorporated into the resolutions, my clients are generally supportive of the measure before you today. We, of course, have more to do with regard to the specific plan down the road, namely ensuring that the continued uses can continue to operate in that area the way they have been for a while, with limited discretionary review, so on and so forth. But that's a discussion for later on. But with those kind of reservations, with acknowledging the fact that city staff is supportive of the revisions that they highlighted, we are generally supportive at this point in time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Juan Garza, please.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. As former mayor of the city of Bellflower, definitely commend you for the gargantuan task that you're embarking on here. Just commend you. It's not something that happens quite frequently, so just want to commend you. Again, my name is Juan Garza. I'm a contract consultant for NAIOP SoCal, a nonprofit organization that represents over 1,200 commercial real estate professionals across Los Angeles and Orange counties. I'm here this evening to express NAIOP SoCal's general support for the city's proposed comprehensive zoning code update. We appreciate the significant work accomplished by Community and Economic Development Director Alvy Betancourt and the city planning team, and the collaborative engagement with NAIOP SoCal, its member companies, and other stakeholders. We support the city's goals of modernizing zoning definitions and improving clarity. The refinements that staff presented this evening are important to NAIOP SoCal and its member companies in order to avoid unintended nonconformities and to ensure consistency with long-standing industrial operations. And not to go over all the elements that are incorporated, we do appreciate that, again, staff has accepted the recommendations that we proposed. Those aforementioned refinements will strengthen the zoning code update and support Pico Rivera's long-term economic development while preserving existing employment-generating industrial uses. NAIOP SoCal would respectfully appreciate the incorporation of the aforementioned clarifications. And last but not least, we thank you for your leadership with respect to the zoning code update and the opportunity to comment this evening. Thank you.
I don't need any IOP. We're good. Any other presentations? Any other comments? Colleagues?
Yes, Mayor.
Councilmember Lutz, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a question for Director Betancourt or Stephanie in regards to slide referencing code amendments to public streets, sidewalks, and public places. Has there been an update or a change to newspaper stands that are on sidewalks?
No, the code amendments before you this evening are just to update the references to the new chapters. So no language in regards to sidewalks or newsstands.
At the moment, newsstands are allowed for 2025 onward?
That's something that I would have to look into. I'm not sure if they're allowed.
Yeah, Councilmember, from what I recall, the item is a First Amendment issue. I could always defer to the city attorney. However, toward that end, cities have been preempted from passing any legislation that would prohibit their installation.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Mayor Pro Tem Camacho.
And to address the question, I want to say I recall probably about a good 8 years ago, we I recall correctly, we don't allow newsstands. I believe we removed all of them. If there are any out there, that shouldn't be on. We addressed that quite some time ago. So, but it's a good question because it's a nuisance. Well, they were a nuisance. Okay. I just have a comment. Again, it's not uncommon to have these zoning updates done as frequent because of the cumbersome nature of what it is. And I know it was stated 1993 was the last time we had ours. Nevertheless, takes 3 years because there's a lot to cover as it relates to this update. Citywide standards, design and development guides, these are all good improvements, updates for our community. This is driven by the community. This is driven by the residents over the years, asking and complaining and saying why this, why that, in addition to businesses as well. So I think for us to come to this point to do these levels of updates, it's good for our community because, again, it develops a new standard as to how businesses do business, how developments are designed, and how not only from a residential but a commercial. We want to make sure that we're always protecting our residents. However, at the same time, we also want to make sure that we're protecting our businesses. We are a business-friendly community. We want to make sure that as we move forward to improve our city and grow, we don't want to impede in those businesses that are here because, it is a backbone of our community. We generate a lot from our business community, whether it be industrial, whether it be retail or whatnot, is important. And the more investment that we have from these businesses allows us to grow as a community. So that's important. So we have to find that balance. And I know that in our Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee, there was concerns that were addressed, as you pointed out, Director, as you addressed them here. So, and I know my colleague and I made sure that, look, as we're trying to grow, we're trying to make sure that we develop standards. We also don't want to impede, and I think that as we address it, we want to make sure that we're working with our business community, and it sounds to me that we got to that point, a compromise that I think will work, always driven by our residents, right? This is all driven by residents, our community, developing standards, quality of life, and I'm happy that we got into this point, that I believe the residents will be happy that we created this, that staff created this, but also our business community. Can't get it all. You can't get everything you want, but you got to be comfortable and satisfied to move forward and working together. So thank you. Great job.
Council Member Lauro.
I just want to piggyback off of what my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem, said. In reading some of the correspondences, because this has been over several months, there is great back and forth about definition of fulfillment center, right? If you go back to the 90s, there really wasn't a thing of a fulfillment center, right? The last time our ordinance was updated. But as a result of the internet, as a result of businesses like Amazon, so on and so forth, these things exist. And they're taking space in our communities. So then the question of taxes and taxation and how do we define this? And are these establishments beneficial for our community? Is it a two-way partnership? So this was as has been noted, this was quite the undertaking. I want to compliment staff for doing such a good work and be very comprehensive. And then also meeting our partners halfway, right? There was some initial criticism, but it was a working out process where now we have people who are against it. They thank staff for their diligence, and we're meeting halfway, recognizing that there's further obstacles down the road. So thank you very much.
Any other comments? Dr. Sanchez?
Yes, thank you. I want to thank the staff for putting together and spending the time with this design and development guide. I think that it will really help residents as well as developers to help expedite the process. So I still get comments that it's taking too long to get permits approved. And sometimes people don't realize that it's part of it's a two-way communication. And so I love that the guide has photos and visuals of do's and do nots. And I think that that will really help, especially smaller residential homeowners that don't exactly know all of the codes. And I think that this is going to be a guide to help us expedite that process. I would also like to challenge our staff of the economic development and all of our staff to think about how we can further help expedite the process of permits and help expedite this because, as you know, it takes time to develop as well as make sure that these plans are in place and in compliance with our codes. And also continuing to recognize that it's changing. During the pandemic, we allowed outdoor dining, and now that has been continued throughout our city, but still making sure that they're in compliance with our ordinances. In addition, the drive-through, like the food distribution that we just had Saturday, that became more popular during the pandemic with no-contact food distribution, drive-through events. So I like that you had a lot of the updates in this guide that didn't exist prior to 2000 during the pandemic. So I want to thank the staff as well for all of the hard work. I know it can be tedious. I don't know the codes as well as I'm sure you do as in our economic development department, but I want to thank you for all of the hard work that you put in this, and I'm hoping that we continue to revisit this and continue to help our residents and our developers to help expedite the process to help them get their permits.
Any other comments? Okay, we need to close the public hearing. Motion to close. We need a motion on that.
Motion and second.
A first and a second. Do I have a first?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Dr. Sanchez.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Lutz?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Camacho?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And again, I want to echo my colleague's share. Job well done. Well done. Moving along to item number two here. We have a public hearing, second reading and adoption of the 2025 California Building Codes Title 24 and Title 15, Building and Construction. Mr. City Manager,
There's no memo, Mayor.
any written oral?
There were none received, Mayor.
Do we have any discussion, any comments? There being none, can I have a motion? Moved by Councilmember Lara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Camacho. Roll call.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Lutz?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Camacho?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
We'll move into written comments, and we'll have John Contreras lead off here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Garcia. I was gonna skip it and skip out since I did see that I'm gonna be speaking of Paul and John. But I think it bears saying because they're very two important members of our community. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff, and community of Pico Rivera, I'm here today as a resident of Pico Rivera, and I want to congratulate the two fine men who together have served our community for almost 100 years. I'll start with Mr. Schuyler, and I wish they were here, but I know that's just them, right? They have coaching to do and they have other things to do for our city. That's how much they care for our city. So congratulations on your 50 years of service with Rivera Baseball Association. It's an incredible milestone, and I want to thank you for everything you've done for our league and our city. You've been more than just a board member, a coach. You've been a mentor and a leader and a role model for generations of young athletes in Pico Rivera. Myself included, Mayor Garcia. I know that Paul, I don't know if he coached over at Pico Boys or not, but I know that Mr. Carmona played over there. I forgive you. I've had the honor to coach alongside you and seen firsthand of how much heart and dedication you bring to the field. You teach more than baseball. You teach teamwork, respect, and how to be a good person. And in saying both of these speeches, it can go either way. They're both great men for our community, and it goes without saying. So I kind of brought them both together as one. To Mr. Paul. Paul has been a youth football coach and a mentor in Pico Rivera almost 50 years. That's more than 5 decades of teaching, guiding, and supporting our kids on and off the field. His dedication is truly inspiring. Paul is a Marine veteran who served our country with honor. He's a loving father, a loyal friend, and someone who always shows up when it matters. And for many years, he has served as an umpire in our youth baseball leagues. And who could remember Paul in between innings dancing when music was on, or, talking, always going extra, right? Kids are ready to play. They're all warmed up. They're ready to go next inning, and there's Paul still talking, man. He's just a great person. He's loved by many. He helped keep the game fair, as was mentioned, and fun for generations of players. Both men have helped shape the lives of thousands of young people. They've taught them how to work hard, respect others, and believe in themselves. They've shown us what it means to lead with heart and humility. You are the true asset to the city of Pico Rivera, to Rivera Baseball Association, and the Pico Rivera Dons. Your legacy will live on in the players you've coached, the families you've supported, and the communities you've helped build. Thank you both for your service, your leadership, and your love for the city. We're proud to honor you today. You're both a very important part of the student athletes that represent the city and the school district of El Rancho Unified School District. Congratulations to both Coach Camacho and Coach Seiler, and God bless. I'd also, in ending, I'd like to recommend that the council would look into further about a possibility of naming that Field 5 RBA under Mr. John Seiler. I think, being 50 years of service, it'd be something that he would really appreciate as a person who's given his more than his life to the service of our community.
We got something in there, but we got to still have to discuss it.
Absolutely. So thank you for giving me this opportunity as well.
Thank you, John. Next, we have Cynthia Ibarra. Cynthia?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Cynthia Ibarra. I've been a resident of Pico Rivera for 13 years, and I'm here to raise awareness and bring a call to action to predatory towing and financial exploitation that has been occurring in our city. So on Friday, November 7th at approximately 1:30 p.m., my 79-year-old mother had placed an order at Mario's Tacos for pickup, proceeded to park in the parking lot between Mario's Tacos and La Mano. She proceeded to go into La Mano for no more than 3 minutes to pick up a soda because they don't have the soda that she likes at Mario's Tacos. When she came outside, she found that there were boots on her Honda CR-V. Mind you, this is a 79-year-old woman who is handicapped and had her handicap placard on it. The towing company was Premier Tow and Recovery. They proceeded to try to coerce her to immediately give them $300 via Zelle. My mother got panicked and called me. I have 1 minute and 57 seconds. Thank God I was able to answer. I do work at a school district and was able to answer, so I do have flexibility. When I spoke to the gentleman, who happens to be the owner of Premier Tow and Recovery, he refused to give me his name. Proceeded to then say that they were going to tow the car. I asked my mother to go inside Mario's Tacos. At that time, they followed her in and then wanted her to use the ATM to give them cash. So I come here because I know we feel very safe in the city, and if my mother hadn't had an advocate like myself in her life to tell her what to do, and I do want to thank the Pico Rivera sheriffs, because when I called, they were very helpful and supportive to make sure that someone came to check in on my mother, who was very nervous. But I asked that we really look into this situation because I did look into it, and there have been several instances of this. So again, I'm here to bring awareness and also to advocate for other elders so that they don't become victims of elder financial exploitation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, did you want to give a report,
Yes,
a comment on this?
thank you for coming in. We are actively looking into that. We've already met with Mario's Tacos. We also have our legal counsel researching some of the current laws on the books. In the event that we find that they did this incorrectly, we will try and identify the victims and hopefully get their money back. But again, this does have the city council's attention, and we're working on it.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Pro Tem?
You know, I know we don't get in practice engaged with speakers, and I'm just making comments. And you know, this is not the first time I've heard this. Obviously, as you mentioned, City Manager, you've heard this complaints before, specific to that area, specific to Mario's Tacos. They're good business in our community, but this practice, however, their agreement they have is just enraging because this is. I mean, even as I hear another story of this nature, you know, I'm wondering what is the business practice there? Is it to buy tacos or is it to, you know, abuse individuals that accidentally park there? I get it. You don't park in my parking lot. You get cited, you get towed. There's signage and so forth. But when somebody's there just waiting for somebody to, you know, park accidentally or whatnot, it's just unacceptable. I don't know if this is the right time to do so, but I do, in addition to whatever you're doing, City Manager, I'd like to get the support of my colleagues. I truly want to look into a more comprehensive, citywide ordinance that really regulates these tow companies, whether it means that I don't even know what we can do in the sense, but whether we have a single tow company or CUPs for these tow companies, but currently, as I understand it, these businesses can create an agreement between these tow companies. There could be multiple tow companies, and some are great tow companies, but others are smaller ones that this is how they do their business. And for them to do any business in our city in this manner should not be allowed. And so, whether it requires a second or support, we truly need to do a comprehensive, aggressive ordinance that eliminates these types of practices and creates a standard citywide that we can control and regulate much better and not allow any of these types of tow companies to do business in our city if it's legally allowed. So, I mean, I really want you to put this as a priority, and I hope my colleagues has a consensus, not only a second, but just to move this forward. I know we can't vote on it right now if it's not agendized, but this is really aggravates me, and thank you for coming and giving us that.
Councilmember Lara?
Sure. No, I agree 110%. It's predatory. The ironic thing is that the tow truck guy is towing vehicles that have parked there, but he's parked across the street in a parking lot doing the exact same thing that he's towing people for, right? And so I think if I'm not mistaken, the state law states that you have to give so much of a buffer. I think it's like 30 minutes.
It's actually, yes, at least 30 minutes, if not even an hour. We're researching that right now. We did meet with the owners to discuss that with them, but again, we're having legal counsel review.
Yeah, so there's already state law that states that there's this grace period that needs to be given, because I've read multiple, and we've talked about this before. We were in the process of doing something, because I've seen multiple stories, and it's the same thing. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, and thank you for, you know, we're gonna move.
I'm just curious. City Manager, you mentioned that you've been talking to Mario's Tacos. I mean, to me, it's pretty straightforward. Stop it. But what are they saying?
They were actually in disagreement with the way the law is currently right now, and they didn't agree not to stop. They just continued to state that, you know, this is their parking lot. They want to, you know, preserve it for their customers. They've noticed a lot of folks are using it to go to other entities. So that was their response. Within the state law that we're having reviewed, there's actually a misdemeanor charge that can be for unlawful towing. So these are some of the repercussions we'll once again bring to their attention once we get it reviewed.
If there's any of those incidents do elevate to a misdemeanor, I think we need to make sure we address that.
Dr. Sanchez?
Yes, maybe this question is for Captain. If you can share, were there any findings of, or any criminal something related to fraud or fraudulent or improper towing? What was the outcome of this? She got her vehicle back, obviously.
Yeah, if I can add, I was able to, like I said, the sheriffs were amazing when I called, and we're gonna send someone over because it was gonna take me 40 minutes to get to my mother. But because there wasn't any exchange of money, they weren't able to take a report. So that's why I took action and wanted to come and make public comment. I usually don't. I just kind of read your agendas, but thank you for hearing me out. But it just makes me think about elderly and maybe people who may not speak the language that do not have that ability. I will say that this Premier Tow and Recovery is not registered with the Better Bureau Association. They, again, have many instances, and the gentleman whose number on the sign at La Mano, at Mario's Tacos, he refused to give me his name and made very rude comments as well. So no report was taken because there wasn't an exchange of money, and that's what I was told.
I just want to bring this, because this wasn't agendized.
Yes, I
But
apologize.
we share your frustration.
Thank you.
We share the pain, and I can assure you that the city will be acting on your behalf to make sure that we handle this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Lauren Talbot?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Lauren Talbot, and I'm the Community Library Manager at the Pico Rivera Library and the Rivera Library. Here are our updates for November. Thanks to Baby, we have free diapers sizes 1 through 7 available at the Pico Rivera Library while supplies last. Please drop by during our open hours to pick up a pack. It is limited to 1 pack per adult per day. For Native American Heritage Month, families are invited to our soapstone carving program at the Pico Rivera Library on Tuesday, November 18th at 4 p.m. Kids will learn about Indigenous California cultural lifeways, the Southern Channel Islands, and about rocks and minerals in California. Then they will use sandpaper to create pendants and miniature sculptures out of soapstone. Both the Pico Rivera Library and the Rivera Library will be closed on Thursday, November 27th and Friday, November 28th for the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Monteverde? Excuse me, can you use the mic, please? Thank you. Now, I see that old school jacket you have on right there.
Well, this jacket is from way back in the 70s.
That's why I said old school. That's a throwback.
You had to earn these.
That's right.
I'm one of the originators. We were Pop Warner before we were Junior All-American. And the story was, and I wanted to say this, but it's all right. Anyway, we're sitting over there on Mines and Cool Horse Drive before Paramount went through. Now all of a sudden, all these motorcycles pull in. And we're having our meeting pertaining to stay with Pop Warner or go to Junior All-American, vice versa. And we're talking and talking, but Junior All-American offered some type of scholarship. So we voted on it, and in comes this young dude, long hair, earrings, and with a backup. And he says, "Uncle," and his uncle was Mr. Garcia. He says, "I want a team." And he says, "You want a team?" He says, "Yes. Aren't you Junior All-American or what?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "I want a team." He says, "Well, we can give you the leftovers, but we don't have any coaches." He says, "I'll be a coach." Everybody was reluctant. Long hair, earrings, Mongols. So we voted on it, and I told him, "You know what? This this is life. You've got to start someplace. And we voted on it, and I was the middleman, and I voted for it. And for 50-something years or more, I was told about this, and I'm glad you did the statistics. But you know what? I go to his games. I still go to the El Rancho games. I'm the one that goes ta-ra, ta-ra, and everybody follows that, and that's good because you have to support your children, your students, and I cannot imagine how many people he's touched, how many people have gone on to better things because of his fortitude and his showing. I'm sorry he's not here, but I spoke to him, and I found a program that I made because I was publicity, and it's 2001. And I wrote this item because a year, 2000, they lost every game except one they tied. So the following year, he decided to change things over, and they went undefeated. How many teams do you know can go undefeated? Undefeated. So he inspired me to write this, and this is what I wrote. Can you remember when you were only essence of dust? Do you remember when you were only a name and later given a number? You were exposed to thoughts of teamwork, pride, and winning. That hard work and paying attention would accomplish victories and maybe championships. You were like particles of dust drawn together with an idea to learn and experience winning as a team. And if you didn't, you would still hold your head high with pride knowing that within yourself you had done your best. Because you're coaches and parents, you have maneuvered through the most wonderful season and experienced what winning is truly all about. What life is a winning team as 30 dedicated young football competitors. These were only boys 9 and 10 years old, and they've been together 1 year. They brought you, the 30 of you together, first team, second team, offense, defense, kicking team, etc., with the same desire to go forward and accomplish the goal, to always do the best in whatever you did. They had lost all their games the season before. The Gremlin goal, winning as a team, are no longer separate particles of dust. You are small shooting stars, like tiny meteorites entering the atmosphere that glow in the night. Your atmosphere was the football playing field where you have brightened many of the coaches and parents' faces. Someday you will realize that not many can become champions, and that the Gremlin goal of 2001 are truly champions, and that your hard work as a whole team, all 30 of you earn the little title of championships. We salute you, the 2001 Gremlin, and your undefeated season. Then I condensed it.
Mr. Monteverde, your time is pretty much, if you could please wrap that up.
Excuse me?
You had 3 minutes, but you could wrap this up.
That's what I was waiting for these other people for 3 minutes. That's why I asked to be last.
No, I
Do you mind leaving a copy with the clerk, and we
It's
can
gonna cost you.
we can put it. Okay, yeah. How much? What's the cost?
Anyway, it's
Talk
only,
to the city
it's
manager.
only 4 lines.
Go ahead, please.
You took their bodies and strengthened them. You took their thoughts and directed to a winning goal. You took their minds and hearts and transformed them. You took this transformation and exposed them to accomplishing their very best always. You took their wills and formed them. You formed them to desire achieving the highest goals. They gave you their belief and their bodies. You as coaches, their leaders, their facilitators, molded and created a complete football team that would accomplish many winning seasons, plus numerous league championships and many, many more conference championships. That's it. I went once to the city hall. I said, "Where's all these trophies? Where's all these?" We're gonna make a cabinet. Never seen the cabinet. They had so many trophies, winning. Now we're going back to the 80s. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have one more speaker, Christina Bencomo. Christina, is Christina with us? No? See, Mr. Monteverde, you were last. We're gonna continue along, but before we do, you remember the Blue Beetle? Before there was a snack bar, the catering truck? The catering truck? Back in the 60s for Pop Warner.
I was way back in.
Okay, that's another conversation. All right.
I probably coached your kids, man. I probably coached before you.
All right, let's go ahead and move along. Thank you, though. Thank you again.
I spent 15 years.
We're gonna go ahead and move on to our agencies, tonight's agenda. We have, the city council and successor agencies. We have 3 to 15. We're gonna pull item number 10.
Yes, Mayor, we're going to continue that item.
Okay, so is there any discussion on the other items with the exception of 10? There be none?
I would like to comment, but I don't want to pull it. I'll comment at the end, after the vote?
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
let's do that.
Okay.
A motion to approve. Move to
Motion
approve.
to approve, Dr. Sanchez.
Second.
Councilmember Lara seconds. Roll call.
Councilmember Director Lara.
Yes.
Councilmember Director Lutz.
Yes.
Councilmember Director Dr. Sanchez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairman Camacho.
Yes.
Mayor Chairman Garcia.
Yes.
Motion passes to approve items 3 to 15 with the exception of item number 10.
Dr. Sanchez.
Thank you. I would like to thank, in item number 12, the Institute of Public Strategies. We have several of the staff here. Gentlemen, if you would like to stand or give a little wave. They have come and did public comment and also hosted a smoke-free policy summit in the city, and also provided sample resolutions, model ordinances for the city to model related to smoke-free multi-housing ordinances. And I think this will really benefit our residents that live in apartments, and also hoping that this will include mobile home parks, mobile homes, because they are so close in proximity to protect the public health of our residents that might be near, and help them with any issues they have related to smoking. Of course, we recognize freedom and people's home and residence, but smoke travels through vents, as we know. There is no boundary that we can put up that would prevent that. It even goes through ventilation systems. We've learned that. And over 100 cities in California have passed such an ordinance. So I thank you to bringing this to our attention. I thank my colleagues as well for their support in helping to bring this forward to the city, and our staff on economic development, our city manager, and everyone. And I think this is an important issue for us to bring forward in Pico Rivera. Excited to begin this work.
Thank you. City manager reports?
No reports, just Pam, if you want the Christmas tree lighting event, just quick little commercial.
Thank you for putting the commercial up. I want to thank the media team for always creating new flyers for us every single year. It's fantastic. But of course, we'll be out by City Hall in front from 5 to 9. And it's such a beautiful tree. It's already up. Have you seen it? I'm not sure if you've seen it. But it takes Public Works and my team quite a big haul to get that up. So I thank them both for doing all that. We have lots of live entertainment. We've changed the layout a little bit. It'll be a little bit, we won't have 2 stages this year. We'll have 1 stage, and it'll be right there at the entrance going into like well El Rancho is, like the what would you say it, the north side of City Hall. So the stage will be closer this year instead of farther, because usually it's down over there past El Rancho High School. So it'll be closer. Anyway, we have Santa Claus coming. We've got carolers coming. We've got cocoa and cookies for everybody. So we hope you'll be there. It's going to be a really good time.
I guess I'll ask the question that everybody's been asking me. Why before Thanksgiving?
Yes, a little early.
That's what my wife asked.
I said, I'm going to address the question that everybody's been asking me. Why before Thanksgiving?
I blame Steve. I don't know. No, you know what? We're a little bit like Costco.
Pam, we have a meeting tomorrow early at 8 a.m. Okay?
No, it wasn't last year. It wasn't that way. It worked out odd, but
I don't turn on the Christmas music until after Thanksgiving.
I
And
know.
I love Christmas music, but
Well, we weren't the first because I was at one last Saturday, so we're not the first.
yeah, people really enjoy it, you know. And we'll have snow. I forgot we'll have snow again, so yeah, we encourage everyone to come out.
we will be there.
Go to the
Thank
order. Mayor Pro Tem,
I have nothing. Thank you, Mayor.
Dr. Sanchez.
Yes, I have some items to report regarding AB 1234. I attended a meeting event for Latinas Lead. I was one of the keynote speakers, and regarding experiences of, there were, ideally, it is targeting women that are elected officials. However, there are gentlemen that attend, so I was invited to be a guest. I also attended with Mayor McGee Lights On After School event, and it was a great event where the students got to highlight their science projects, technology. It's the after-school program there at McGee, and it was actually my birthday, so they surprised me with card and happy birthday and a cake, and the kids were really sweet. So I really liked that they invited us, and it was a great event. Third, I like to report I am appointed to serve on the Rio Hondo College Board of Trustees Superintendent Selection Committee, Superintendent President. So I serve as the representative for the Pico Rivera district. There is a position that's vacant to hire the new trustee. So I am on that committee that will be helping to interview, and we've already begun the long process to identify candidates. So I represent Pico Rivera in that committee. And then I wanted to also, I have two items that I would like to bring forward for new business. One, I would like to thank the staff as well as our county supervisor, Janice Hahn, for the food giveaway and the LA Food Bank that we had a large distribution of over 2,000 boxes of food that were given to residents that have not received SNAP benefits. I learned that we have over 7,000 households that receive SNAP benefits in the city, and in November they did not receive those benefits. So food is an essential for our children and seniors, especially that they need food to live. So I would like to request to our city manager if we can have our staff research other ways in which we can find partnerships to ensure that our families are getting the food that they need, particularly in times if their federal benefits are being withdrawn or withheld or canceled in any way, particularly related to these SNAP benefits, who are the most low-income children and seniors that are residents that don't get those benefits. If we can look into ways, I know we do have partnerships already with the food bank, and times are tough. I know we work with the Hearts of Compassion, but even though the government shutdown has voted to end, there's a catch-up that needs to be done. I know that they had some struggles, so I would like to see if we can continue to help, just as we've done during the pandemic. I know we have one coming up, another distribution for the holiday Christmas basket committee. And so I would like to see how we can continue to support our residents. If I can get a second on that one. If I do need it, I don't know if I do need it. And then the second item related to Councilmember Camacho, I think this is the place to bring it forward, new business. If we can look into authorized tow truck companies. I recognize it's law that any business or entity can hire a tow truck company. However, perhaps we can have an RFP or some type of registration process that we need to have them to go through. But you decide, you do the research, staff, please, you're the experts, of what we can do to make sure we're not having predatory companies come and tow cars or put a boot on someone's car and harass them for money for whatever reason. And it's happened times where I myself have parked in spots that I didn't recognize were, it was a hidden or a very faded curb. And I would hate for seniors and others that are already strapped for income to be a target of predatory business practices. So let's find ways to protect our residents and be sure that we have a fair process. And as well as, I know parking is getting more and more scarce in the city. And this is maybe perhaps under our committee, our parking committee that we have. I think we have an ad hoc already still in place, correct? So I would just like a second to make sure that we agendize this and bring it back to the council with some ideas and related to these tow truck companies.
You have a second.
Thank you. And that's it for me.
Before I have Councilmember Lutz, as Dr. Sanchez talked about the food distribution and the partnership with Supervisor Hahn and the food bank, but Albie Betancourt and Rick Ramirez, you guys did an outstanding job there. Really good job, directing, leading, coordinating, making sure that we were out there. So, job well done. Councilmember Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding items AB 1, 2, 3, 4, I attended the Gateway Council of Governments meeting this past week. Also, I just want to say our city did probably one of the most amazing veteran ceremony that we had yesterday, celebrating our veterans in our community and those in the surrounding community. What I found amazing is that we had a lot of our young veterans. There were about half of the attendees that were in attendance along with our older veterans. So we're talking about Afghanistan vets and Iraqi war vets, as well as our Korean, World War II even, and Vietnam War veterans. So I really did appreciate that our community is growing. The more residents that we have that are coming into our community, rather, are young veterans, and I really do appreciate that. They're liking our breakfast that we have bright and early in the morning, and of course they enjoy our ceremony because that wonderful flyover that we have. I also attended the food giveaway that was provided for by Janice Hahn, our wonderful supervisor, this past Saturday. And I want to remind everybody that the Christmas baskets, as my colleague mentioned, will be having a food giveaway on December 13th at Pico Park, if I'm not mistaken. December 13th at Pico Park from 9 to 12. Again, the same layout where people drive through with their vehicles and they get a basket of food. So for those that are in need and want some foods, fruits and vegetables, they can definitely take advantage of that event, Pico Park, Saturday, December 13th. And with that, I did want the city manager and staff, if I can get a second, this is something that's been churning in my head for a while, but I think it's the appropriate time. We just celebrated Veterans Day, celebrating our veterans, and there is a piece of land that the Pico Rivera owns on the corner of Washington and Passons, and the mayor and I, we were working on an ad hoc committee on there, but I don't think we got much traction. I'd like to see if we can get staff to focus on seeing, one, the budget of doing a monument marker there, similar to the ones that we have on the entrances on our major roads in our community, but it'll double as a commemorative marker, possibly even a bronze statue that commemorates our active duty veterans, those that were honorably discharged, our veterans that we have among us. And, we have commemorative monuments for those that have passed, but I feel that we need to commemorate those that we have with us. So that would be an ideal location, and if I can get a second,
Why don't we just redirect it back to the ad hoc originally? We'll coordinate with the city manager on that.
Yes,
give you a
now
second.
I understand
I'll give you a
ad hocs
second.
expire, Mayor, every 6 months, so I want to reinstate it. So if I can get a reinstatement
You
of
got a
the,
second on that.
on that, and then, of course, we can have staff identify the cost of that possible monument marker. And that concludes my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I'll just be very brief. In regards to AB 1234, I attended the Transportation Committee related to SCAG. I sit on the SCAG board as a representative for this area. I want to thank the Parks and Recs, everyone involved for Veterans Day. It's always very well done. Thank you very much for all the effort. I get very, it's humbling. It's humbling, right? To see all of our veterans come, people who don't even live in Pico Rivera, but they come because they feel the value, they feel valued, and they feel respected, and they feel honored. So thank you very much for, and I tell people, we can set the table, but they bring the dishes. They bring the food that we all enjoy, right? Okay. I want to thank also the Parks and Recs for remembering and honoring the Traveling Veterans Vietnam Wall Memorial. It was the last showing. There was a tour group that went up from here. There was a wreath, flowers that were presented because that was truly a transformative experience. That when it was hosted here, I know a lot of veterans. It was the wall that heals. That's what they call it, and it definitely was. So with that, that's about it.
Thank you, Councilmember Lara, and well said from the veterans. I'll report, AB 1234, I attended a sanitation meeting. Veterans Day, Pico Rivera does it like no other. Even today, I was interacting with other mayors from other cities, and they posted on their social media their Veterans Day celebrations. So then when I walk in, oh, Pico Rivera does it big. Nobody does it like Pico Rivera. So kudos to all the staff. A job well done. And coming from the comrades, from the 341, the 411, 7734, they really appreciate what we do here in the city of Pico Rivera. Alvy, thank you for attending the mobile park with me to go do the visit, to meet with the leadership out there to try to address some of their concerns. Thank you for the hands-on approach. Dr. Sanchez and I had an opportunity to attend the Masterson Luncheon put on there. It's a luncheon that they host every year at the station to honor the men and women who put on the uniform, but more importantly, to honor their son, Gary Wiggins, who was an officer. That was well put together, well shared, a very, very heartwarming event, I must say. And that concludes my report.
Mayor, if I may, one more thing I forgot in my report. I wanted to bring to our attention, Pico Rivera was highlighted in the WRD spring newsletter, and it relates to WRD supports new PFAS treatment in Pico Rivera. Last year, we received over $5.8 million to remediate our PFAS treatment from our 3 of our wells. And so it really shares, it has a photo, and it really highlights the importance of the program, and I just wanted to share a little bit. It says, these wells provide approximately 3,500 acre-feet of water per year for Pico Rivera residents. And we received over $5.8 million last year, and this was highlighted statewide. This WRD is regional, however, this newsletter goes all over the state to water providers, maybe even national. I'm not sure about that. But I just wanted to thank our staff as well as our city manager, and this is another kudos that came out in a newsletter. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. Closing, I want to wish you and your loved ones a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll adjourn this meeting at 8:03 p.m.